Yeah, welcome back to Community College with Dr. G. It's me, Dr. G. Okay, so the other day I posted something on Instagram. It was a repost of a quote by Rumi, and it says, "When setting out on a journey, do not take advice from someone who never left home." And my caption said, "My commitment to this work was not for me, but for us. I'm going through the fire to create pathways for all of us to be our fullest, most authentic, happy beyond belief selves. I talk my shit because I'm really a product and a student of this work. Join me." And I realized that most of the people that follow me don't really know too much about me, and it's not your fault, it's mine. I'm a very private person. I don't really like to share too much about my private life, my personal life, um, because in the past I had conditioned myself to believe that vulnerability was a weakness, that it was a place where people could come and take advantage of you. So being vulnerable is something that I shuddered, and now IDGAF. And I share because I've realized now, in the times that we are in, where change is required, that we don't have a blueprint, right? One of the things that I deal with, heal from, work through is like a sense of abandonment in my childhood, in this space where there were certain expectations of me without any education or training, instruction, direction on how to achieve these things that were expected of me. And that's not the way, right? And oftentimes we find ourselves in places where we want to do something for ourselves. We want to change. We want to be different. We want to do something new. But we are stifled from even taking the first step because we don't know what that looks like. We don't even know if that is something that's possible. I'm here to say, one, yes, it's possible. If you can see it in your mind, in your heart, if it is a desire of yours, if it is a goal of yours, you can absolutely make it happen. It may not look exactly like what you picture in your mind, but your mind is limited in what it can see based on what it's already experienced, right? So when you get these visions of who you can be and what you can do, I want you to understand that it is absolutely possible for you to achieve those goals. Okay? Two, I am not going to downplay the amount of courage and bravery that it takes to be authentic in a world that values your inauthenticity. I'll say that again. I will not diminish the amount of courage and bravery that it takes for you to live authentically in a world that is designed and prefers and rewards inauthenticity. So, to that end, I'm going to share where the hell I've been. Don't take advice from somebody who's never left. Don't go seek information from people that haven't done what you're trying to do, right? I don't know what it is that you're trying to do, but I know that the path that I took to follow my authenticity is something that has been incredibly rewarding for me. Even in the incredible challenges that have come with it, it has been absolutely rewarding. So I'll share with you my story so that you can have an example of what it means to do it, of what it means to become, of what it means to unbecome. So I've been living in Costa Rica since 2021. I came here not on vacation, but like I knew that I wasn't about to do another cold winter in Maryland. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go somewhere warm. And I had been through enough between COVID starting in March of 2020 to about June of 2021, I had literally had enough. I was working on myself actively. I've been on this personal growth journey very intentionally since 2010. Like, I took a very intentional step towards my authenticity in 2010. And that started with me cutting off my hair and like removing the perm, right? Um Removing the perm and all of the conditioning that kind of came with it, right? That's where it started, and it's continued. So I've been working this for myself for about 14 years now. But by 2021, I had reached a point where I had achieved all of my goals. I had achieved all of my goals. I literally was living in my dream life in 2019, and that was a life that I thought was my retired life. So I had to reframe it. I was like, okay, God is showing me something here. He's showing me that, okay, you've already achieved your dreams. What you thought was your retirement life is really your pre-doctoral life. Like, what? And it started the spark. That literally started. That was the spark. That was the spark. That was like, okay, maybe you're supposed to be doing something different, because I can't imagine that you're going to be here in the same spot for the next 40 years. uh-uh. So just like God does, um, things started to be revealed to me. Truths started to be revealed to me. Things that I could no longer ignore about the people in my life, about the intentions that I had, about the goals that I had, about where I was going, where I was, and how where I was going to limit where I could go. And I had a near-death experience in 2020, and there was a rebirth, obviously, that came from that near-death. And it changed me in ways that I wasn't aware of at the time, but because I was in such a deep state of grief, all I had was my faith. All I had was my trust in my spirit, my trust in my higher self to do whatever it is that I'm supposed to do in this life. So I was obedient to my spirit, and I listened. I listened because I didn't know. I didn't have anything. There was nothing else up here to inform my steps, because all that I had imagined I had already seen. And in survival mode and faith, I just started listening to my spirit. I was working at a 4-year, pretty popular university as a psychology professor, but on a contract in the general education department, despite having 15 years of teaching experience. Six at the time, 6 of which were in academia already. Despite being brilliant, there was no space for a full-time position for me, so I was going to be contracted until I decided not to be anymore. And when the circumstances of my teaching conditions changed, right, because I'm an integrous person, I know that I have limitations to where I can be effective. And I had expressed those, we negotiated those. And then when I finished school and I have the job and they got you, right, because now you don't really have any options. They know how difficult it is for you, especially as a psychology professor, to get a job. So, they trap you. They trap you. And I've seen it happen to multiple people. Cornel West worked at Harvard for 20-something years, and that man was on a contract for 20-something years, probably an annual contract. Maybe they gave him a 5-year, a decade-long contract. But on a contract, you're not even a full-time employee. You're not even an employee of the university. You're a contractor for 27 years, and you are Dr. Cornel West. Dr. Giselle Hendy is not going to do that. No, sir. So I had already committed to starting Dr. G Says, the business of educating people in psychology to show people that there are easier, better, more fulfilling ways to live life. And when I found out what my teaching schedule was going to be for the 2021-2022 school year, I called my chair immediately, like, dude, this is above my capacity. I'm not going to be effective in this. How can we renegotiate this? I'm willing to teach twice the number of classes in order to meet the same amount of students that we need to meet, but this is not going to work for me. And I was basically told, like, nah, you got to do it. So I said a prayer and I was like, how am I going to do this? Commute 3 hours because I refused to live in a racist town with absolutely no protection or 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 support from the university for that racism. It was just like, oh yeah, that's the way it is. Could you imagine living in a place that's full of mountains, loving nature, and being told not to go hiking on your own because you might disappear? And then when you do go hiking with your white colleagues, the people think that you're the nanny and not a doctor and a professor at the university. Do you know what that feels like? No shade to nannies, but like, that's not fulfilling professionally or personally. So how was I going to commute 3 hours twice a week to teach these 150 people per class? I don't even want to be around 25 people. You want me to stand in front of 150 and be effective? No. So I said, Lord, how am I going to do both? Because I'm not giving up on what I know my purpose is, but this is also my dream. So, like, what do I do here? And very clearly one morning when I woke up, I was on my way to the bathroom. Some people have heard this story. I was on my way to the bathroom first thing in the morning. My eyes are not even fully open yet. I'm not even fully aware of what's going on. All I know is that my feet are touching the ground and I'm about to cross into the threshold of the bathroom. And a voice very clearly, very authoritatively said, you got to leave that job. And so I did. I thought I had already re-signed my contract. When I went to go look for it, it turns out that the lady just sent me a letter of intent and that I had not signed my contract. And I emailed my chair and I was like, this is not going to work. I got to do something different. I apologize. I'm letting you know right now so that you can do whatever it is that you have to do to get it filled, but it's not going to be me. I'm not going to do it. I'll fulfill my requirement of teaching the summer class, but I'm not going to be back in the fall. And it didn't take much convincing. It did, your colleagues are like, oh, so did you find another job? Nope. Oh, so what are you going to do? I don't know. So, what are you going to do? I don't know. But I'm not doing that. Right? And somebody asked me recently, I was on a podcast and somebody asked me, Vienna, asked me, what did you see? Like, how did you see this working out? And I didn't. I didn't. I didn't see it working out. But what I knew was that I had to be faithful. I had to be obedient to what God was telling me to do with my life. And that's it. I've been living off of faith for a very long time. I have grown tremendously as a person, as a spirit, as a spiritual person. Tremendously. So my family knows that I'm crazy already, so they're not like completely surprised at my decision to leave my job without another job. Having just bought a house earlier that year. If you're going to commit to not being in the shit, you really got to commit to it. You really got to be like, okay, well, this is what it is, but this is not what it's going to be. So I have to take the steps to make it not this anymore. And that's what I did. I literally bought a house that January, quit my job in April, and I left the country in September. Having a fallout with my family in June of 2021 was the last connection, the last attachment that I released at a certain level, right? At a certain level that I released that allowed me to really step on faith, because I have been so enmeshed and codependent, overly dependent in my family unit. That's our toxic trait. Codependency, overdependency, judgment, shame. Or we got that whole don't shame your family, honor thy father and thy mother, although your father and your mother may not honor you. So once I finally was able to see that that was not a positive environment for my well-being, it was much easier for me to really, really, really go completely out on faith. And I knew that the winter wasn't going to be it. I said this. I knew the winter wasn't going to be it. I don't like the cold. And I had been saying literally for decades, I'm not about to do another winter. I'm not about to do another winter. I'm not about to do another winter. I can't do this. I don't like this. I hate the cold. So I went to Florida. And the place that I was planning to move was the same space of the same place that the Donald Trump Space Force base was. And I felt like that wasn't a good fit for me, personally. And I came home kind of defeated. Like, okay. And then a couple of things came up on Instagram about this beautiful Caribbean side of Costa Rica that hardly anybody goes. It's full of black people and a Jamaican Caribbean culture. And it's in a Latina country, right? Like a país Latino. They speak Spanish. I literally took Spanish my whole life from 6th to 12th grade and even have a minor in Spanish in college, but never really got the opportunity to use it because I never really explored Latin America. So obviously, my first study abroad experience while I'm studying myself should be in this place that's also Caribbean, so I have some comfort and some familiarity. And then I can practice my Spanish for a couple of months and, we'll figure it out. While I didn't know that I was going to stay in Costa Rica, I knew for sure that I was not going back. I didn't know how that was going to look. I didn't know how I was going to make it, but I knew that I wasn't going back. I didn't know where I was going next, but I was like, Costa Rica is the first spot. This is where we're going to go. We're going to relax, relate, release for a couple of months and see what it's like, and we'll go wherever our spirit takes us. And I arrived in Costa Rica, took the 4-hour shuttle to Puerto Viejo, the South Caribbean, the southernmost area of Costa Rica that borders Panama. Like, Panama is like 30 minutes away from where I'm at. I got here at night. It was 9 something at night. So it was dark. Once the sun goes down out here, it's nighttime. There's no dusk. It's night. So it's very dark. So the very next morning, I went outside to see the beach. In my old life, as a part of, I think my mental health, also spiritual maintenance, I had to take quarterly trips to the beach. Like, if I can't live there, I had already let go of the idea of living there because I was so committed to, being a professor and doing this and doing that. And I'm like, okay, spring break, summer break, winter break, and one other time of the year, we're going to go to the beach. I would go to Miami for a couple of days, 2 days, 3 days, just to reset. I just need to be at the beach by the water and the sun in nature in that way. And now I get to be there. So of course the first thing I did as soon as the sun came up was go outside and go to the beach, and the vibe, it was quiet. There weren't a lot of people. The water was calm. I came at the time when the water was the most calm. The end of September, early October, the water it's like the sea is almost like a lake out here. It's absolutely beautiful. So I got here at the perfect time to experience that. And I didn't know then that I was going to stay, but I knew that I was in the right place. What made me know? What made me know that I was going to stay here indefinitely? Because I don't know when I'm going to leave. I don't know if I'm going to be here forever, but I know that I'm here. So what made me decide to stay? The police. The police. The police. The police said hello. The police were nice. There's like 8 to 10 to 12, I don't know how many different types of police out here. Like you have the transito, which is for traffic. You have the fuerza something something, which is like if some real shit is going down. You've got the regular patrol police. You've got the I don't know. You've got a bunch of different type of police. So nobody oversteps their boundaries. So there's no reason for you to pull a gun out at me at a traffic stop. Yeah. But this was really it. So a woman had she had been out here for a while, and she left, and she asked me to take care of her car while she was gone. It's a blessing, right, to have a vehicle in a place. And it was raining one day, and my good girlfriend Melinda was having a yoga class. So I went to her yoga class. I took my neighbors with me. I was like, y'all, let's hop in the car and go get this yoga. So we did, and it was pouring rain when we were getting ready to leave. And Melinda had rode her bicycle. So I had this little SUV, this little Suzuki SUV, 4 doors, but the hatch in the back we couldn't figure out how to open. I don't know if we didn't have the right key or what it was. We couldn't get the hatch open. And Melinda was on her bicycle, but I was like, I'll ride you into town. But we couldn't even get the seat down. It was the whole debacle. We couldn't figure out how to get the seat down. So we all piled into the car, and we pushed Melinda's bike in through the back seat. So like the tire was kind of turned between the driver's seat and the door and passenger, and then like the back, but of course the whole bike couldn't fit in the car, right? So we're riding maybe like, I don't know, 3 kilometers, 2 kilometers, not far from where yoga was, just to this. I was going to drop Melinda off at the center of town, and we're waiting. So like there's things called puentes, like little bridges where like it's only one way of traffic can go on the bridge. So we got to say that we got to wait right here for them to cross, and then when they stop we can go, and they got to wait, right? So we're in one of those lines at Playa Negra, getting ready to cross. Not really getting ready to cross, but just kind of sitting there chilling, talking. And I see 2 police vehicles cross over the bridge. Mind you, I had only been there, this was maybe like November, December. I had only been there for like 2 months. I'd only been here for like 2 months, right? So I didn't know. So I see the police coming, and I'm like, oh, what am I gonna say? I don't usually get nervous because I feel like I could outsmart the police in DC. Like I could say some shit, and they'd be like, oh, this is how I've survived. So I'm like, okay, what do I say? What do I say? What do I say? And then the policeman like, oh, I'm saying this because we're riding with the back driver door open. We're riding with the back door open because the tire for the bike is sitting out, and I don't want Melinda to ride in the rain, and I'm just getting her right to town. So the first police vehicle, like did the little bump bump, you know how they do their little siren thing, like the little horn, like close your door. And then when he drove past and he recognized why the door was open, he just like gave me like a little wave. And then the second one kind of looked, and he looked and then looked back at me, and he was like, all right. And that was that. And we just kept going. And I drove her into town. And I don't know if it was the sense of relief from the angst that I initially felt by seeing the police and doing something quite illegal, I'm sure. Or just the general fact that the police weren't fucking with me, and how safe that made me feel. But I think that honestly experience was the one that was like, okay, so this is a place that we can be, that we don't have to worry about our safety. And the other factor too is because this historically is a African descendant and indigenous area, and I look like I could be from anywhere, that people assume that I'm Costa Rican, that are tourists or don't know any better, because they don't know that who I belong to. People don't bother me because they don't want the smoke. And I can't tell you what it does as a black person to be in a place where being black means that you're safe. So I stayed. I've continued to build my business from here. It has not been without its challenges. Yeah, it has not been without its challenges. What have I learned? What have I learned? Energy is real. If I knew that before, but energy is real. Like there's a time I was going back to the States, I think probably for Libby and a wedding, but we got to the airport in San Jose, and these people are on vacation. They're pura vida still. They're still like in the mode, and the same people on the same plane that I boarded with in San Jose turned into completely different people by the time we landed in Houston. Like pushing, cussing, disrespect, anger at just simply having to deboard the like to get off the plane. And I am immediately sent back into defense aggression mode that is required for protection living in the States. Like, that's not me. I'm a lover. I'm a lover. My friend pointed out to me the other day that I'm always noticing hearts in nature. Like, we were standing in front of this tree, and the tree had spots, and when I took a close look at the spots were hearts. Some of them. And she was like, "You funny." And I was like, "What you mean?" She was like, "As tough as you are, as with the shits as you are, as ready for the smoke as you are, you really just a lover at the end of the day. All you do is point out hearts and talk about love. So you became a warrior because you had to." And Costa Rica provided a space for the warrior to surrender. For the warrior to surrender. And to be love. And to express that. And to release angst. To release the defensiveness. To release the aggressiveness. To just be the soft, loving, funny, goofy, unserious, brilliant person that I am. I would not be who I am today. I would not be where I am today had I not left the States and fake moved to this country. What else have I learned? You know, um, humility has always been a thing for me. I grew up in a household where even when I wasn't trying to be boastful, I was humbled at every turn. I just was being regular me, but then been humbled like, well, that's good, but that's not good enough, you know? Do you see me? Do you know me? Good enough. I'm better than most. And I'm not saying that to be any type of way like conceited, but like I have to assert my truth against the bullshit, right? So part of my brainwashing, part of my conditioning from my caregivers was that I am unable to do without nice things. Like, I need luxury in my life. And it's not true. It's not true. I don't need luxury in my life. I'm more of a rustic girl. I'm a very simple woman. Um, but in order for people to control you, they have to provide something that you can't provide yourself and then convince you that you absolutely need it. I don't. Traveling is one of the is the best teacher. It's the best teacher not for like information, but for life and how shit can be. And when you leave America, where poor people live like middle class people, all by design, by the way, because if poor people lived in America how poor people lived other places and had to deal with the oppressive nature of being poor in America, America would not exist because they would have been blew that shit up. Moving here, I see people who we would consider poor and homeless be more happy than the people that own multiple properties and were making $1 million a year off of tourism here. People that sleep on the beach have more peace and spread more love and joy and happiness and generosity to the people around them than the people out here that have the most. And oftentimes, the people that have the most are the most miserable and the ones that go out of their way to make other people feel bad. It was a reiteration to me that material possessions, capitalism, accumulation, acquisition, all of the things that outwardly look successful are the antithesis to internal peace. I'll say it again. Materialism, capitalism, acquisition, consumption, accumulation, money, oftentimes for people creates the antithesis to what peace and pure love and joy and all of those things of mind, of heart, of spirit, of soul with God. They don't match often. I think part of it is the humility and the spirituality need to come before the money. But it's so easy to get money. Much easier than facing yourself, than building yourself, than being authentic, because they show you blueprints of how you can be successful in this world. So if I just have to follow that in order to get this, then that's exactly what I'm going to do. And I had this conversation with my neighbor that so many of us are broken. So many of us are damaged in our spirits and in our minds and in our ideas about ourselves. But we mask it. We are able to hide from it. We are able to deny it because we have accumulated things. Because we have outward success. I have a home. I have a pool. I have a vehicle. I dress nice. My children are well kept. I have this. I have that. I have this. I have that. What's wrong with me? I'm successful in the eyes of society. The society's falling apart. So what does your success mean after that? What else have I learned? People are people no matter where you go. I assumed, I am a very naive person. My Capricorn, my sun sign is literally at 0 degrees. I am very naive when it comes to, like, I see things, yes, but I also very much take things at face value. Dumb. Or at least my face value, right? So I moved to this community which is known to have all of these different healing modalities where people come to do. Costa Rica is like probably one of the number one retreat places all over Costa Rica. But like, this is the vibe here. Like, pura vida, no hate, all love, blah 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 blah. I got to see that even healing is an identity, a false identity that people adopt in order to have a space to be in this world. And that it actually doesn't stem from a place that is centered within you rather than a place that is an outward projection of your pain. Like, very clearly there's women out here that are jealous of other women that run women's circles. Be wary of the person that calls themselves a healer. I could say so much more. But be wary of the person who calls themselves a healer and wants to heal you. I'm my own healer. You can become your own healer, but you cannot heal me. You cannot heal me. I cannot heal you. I can help you become your own healer. Sign up, link in bio, but I can't heal you. And a person who thinks that they can be your healer, why you want to heal me? Worry about yourself. So the desperation to have an identity is usually the path is usually ignoring authenticity and holding on to something that is an outward indication of who you want to be, but not necessarily who you are. People are fake, but it's not their fault because we're conditioned to be fake. What is real? Because anything that is authentic and real for you that doesn't fit into the boxes that you say you want to be a part of, people will shame it out of you, or you'll shame it out of yourself, honestly. So people are people. Even in the healing space, the new age, whatever they call this, new age something something. I don't know. It's trendy. It's trendy. Um, the world is abundant. If you can look behind me, you can see all the different shades of green. All the different shades of green. Just in this spot here, even with this little plant right here that's growing up, look at that. That's like 8, 9 different shades of green just right there in that one spot. The world is abundant. And even in a time of struggle where you feel like there is no abundance, where there is lack for you, you can take a look around you and see that the world is abundant. It's very obvious here how abundant God and nature are, and it's a consistent reminder of what really matters. Yeah. What else have I learned? I am absolutely meant to be in nature. I would rather sweat all day in this beautiful jungle beach heat than be cold. And I be sweating all day. The energy of nature, to be blessed to be between the mountains and the jungle with the sea on the other side of me, the beach and the ocean on the other side of me, has healed my nervous system in a way that I would not have been able to heal it had I been in the energy in the environment of concrete and congestion and all of the things that were my life in the States. Nature heals. Nature heals. I came here broken. Everything that I knew for myself was shown to me in its truest light and revealed to me that none of it was really for me in the first place. Everything. My family, my career, my granny's house, everything was revealed to be different from what I had, in my ego response, in my protection, convinced myself of my life. What I mean by that is, like, I'm sure that my spirit knew better, but when you're in a space where you are not welcome, you being who you actually are is not welcomed. For safety purposes, for sanity purposes, for protection purposes, so that you will survive, your ego will tell you lies. And it's not a malicious act. The ego is not a terrible thing. But the ego is something that is there for protection. It's there for your survival. Had I not lied to myself, convinced myself of these things that I probably knew were not true when I first got here, before I was conditioned and decommissioned by the people and the spaces that I was in as a child. I knew I knew it wasn't for me. I used to always argue, like, why do I have to dress a certain way to be a certain thing? Like, I understand a nurse and a doctor, you wear scrubs because that's what the hospital says. But, like, how am I less capable as a business person, as a professional, if I don't put on a gray suit? Like, how does, like, you know what I mean? Like, I just always knew that these little stupid things, like, they didn't matter. This isn't right. But I had no support for that. There was no support for that rebellion. There was no support for creating something different It was, the opposition. Like, do this. This is what you're supposed to do. And you can't be that and this at the same time. Yes, the fuck I can. Because I am. Because I am. Right? But my ego allowed me to create certain narratives and beliefs and goals and ideas about the people around me and what I was meant to achieve in order for me to survive in this environment that is not meant for me. So when it was illuminated to me very clearly that this is not the environment for you, as much as I was faithful, I was still broken because everything that I had known for myself and for my life were no longer. I was broken. And intentionally spending every single day in nature when I first got here, making sure I went to the beach every day, making sure I took walks, just getting back to very simple, or getting to very simple practices for my life, eliminating a lot of stuff. My business probably could be a lot further had I not taken the space to heal myself, right? Had I come here and continued to work in the way that I was working in the States, I would probably have had more success in my business and money making, especially, for sure. But I knew, for me personally, that I had to detach from all of the things that I knew to be normal, that I knew to be expected of me, in order for me to get to the person that I actually am. How can I talk to you about healing if I have not done the work myself? Okay, yeah, I'm a doctor. I've studied psychology since I was 14 years old. Like, yeah, I have that, but like, what does it mean? I'm always about application. Knowledge without application is completely useless. It's useless, okay? So moving into this space of encouraging people to be authentic, encouraging people to be brave and courageous and go the way that they know in their heart, spirit, and soul that they're supposed to go, I got to do it first. I got to apply. I got to learn the lessons. I got to do it. I've done it, y'all. And it still feels strange and shameful for me to say these things about myself. But I've done it. I really have. I've lived this life. Even in my confusion, even in my conditioning, I was always rebellious. I've really, if I really sat down and talked to you about all of the different experiences and crazy shit and cool shit that has happened or that I've done in these 40 years, I feel like I'm boasting. But at the same time, I'm not. It's my life, and it was what I was supposed to do. I was supposed to follow it, but still be different. I was supposed to see it differently, but still be in it, so that I could wholeheartedly come out of it, knowing that I had given it my all. Y'all, I gave it my all. My all. And at the end of the day, in my family, in America, in any institution that was associated with it, I was still some little upstart, saved by a white person, black girl that doesn't really belong here, but we gonna let her in because we gotta fill a quota. Nah, motherfucker, nah, that is not who I am. That's your perception of me, but that is not who I am. And you know it, right? And that's the thing about it, is that people will see exactly who you are and humble you. My family trained me to be okay with being humbled by mediocre people. I said it. I'll say it again. They trained me to be humbled by mediocre people, but I am not a mediocre person. It is what it is. Had I not left all of those things behind that were identities, this is literally my identity. Oh, what do? I'm a professor, I'm a daughter, I'm an auntie, I'm a sister, you know? I take care of my grandmother's house even after she's passed. All of the things. I'm a family person, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm an intellectual. I wasn't any of those things anymore. None of those things were tangible aspects of my life at the point that I moved here. I was a tabla rasa, blank slate, and completely dedicated to filling that shit back up with only things that were for me, that were from me, divinely gifted, divinely guided. It has not been without its challenges. It has not been without its challenges. But I am still alive. And I can honestly say to you that had I stayed in the States, I don't know if that would have been true. You can live a life with peace in your heart. You can live a life without a lot of the bullshit that you put up with. Being in Costa Rica, it satiated my desire to travel. If you knew me in my old life, you know I traveled a lot. Not just my quarterly trips, but I used to take trips. Traveling all the time, like that was my thing. But I don't need to run away to recharge in order to get back to my life now. That's what it was. I had to take breaks from a space that was killing me so that I could recharge in 2 days to 3 weeks, depending, to come back and keep killing myself. I've lost a tremendous amount of weight without really trying to lose weight. And that is something that happens very naturally as you allow yourself to heal. Healing my nervous system, healing my spirit, my mind. Doing the work to release all of the shit that is not meant for me so that I could live fully in my purpose. When I say that I don't just do this work for me, this is an act of service to the world, I mean that. I really do mean that, because I understand how difficult, I know firsthand how difficult it is to do this, to commit to this, to be this, to go against everything that you've ever been told or taught, and to create something that you've never seen before. The shit is not easy. By far, the most challenging thing that I've ever done was commit to this life, right? But it's possible, right? And with the guidance of someone who actually knows and has done and cannot tell you what to do, but can give you examples, that can provide you with information, that can suggest some strategies, some tools to help you along the way. Like, I really just want to make it easier for you to live your best life. I'm living my best life in this moment. I know that it's going to get better. I know that it's better. My life is better. I live so simply, y'all. And I'm incredibly satisfied with my life. Obviously, there's things that can improve and that will improve over time, but like in this moment, there's not much more that I can ask for than this peace that I feel in my heart, in my spirit, in my mind. Yes, I still worry. Yes, life still happens. Yes, there's still shit to deal with every single day. That's life, right? But like when you eliminate all of the stuff that you don't need to be bothered by and focus on you and stuff that is really meant for you, it's okay when the terrible shit that happens in life happens. Because, like, okay, I don't have all of this extra stress already on me so that when real life happens, I can't handle it. I can handle my real life because I've eliminated all of the excessive, unnecessary bullshit from my life. And that includes people, that includes identity, and that includes goals. It's okay to quit. It is courageous to quit. And the bottom line to me doing this, well, two, one, to share with you like a little bit of my story, because you know, you guys want to know who I am. I want you to know who I am because I want you to trust that what I have to say to you is real. I don't want to cry. But two, I don't want you to wait until it's too late. I've seen so many times where people have had the opportunity to do something different and they're like, nah, just a little more time, 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 just next year, next time, next year, okay, it's coming, okay, and then tragedy happens, some type of physical ailment happens that then prevents you from doing what you had intended to do, but you kept pushing off. Please don't wait until it's too late to do you, to do for you. And this isn't in a selfish way, because when you do these things for yourself, when you do for you, you are setting an example for the people around you to follow. You're providing a space for people to avoid the shit that you went through. And isn't that the point? Isn't that the point? Isn't that the point? To do and go through so that you can make a way to make it easier for the people that follow you, so we can continue to progress the human race or your race, whatever you feel. But isn't that the point? Your family line? You went through all of that to make it more difficult for the people coming after you? Heal yourself. Heal yourself. I had one of my best friends from elementary school. We're grown-ups and we're having a conversation, and this one woman that we hung out with, she's a first lady of a church, and she asked if we would be willing to come and work with the young women in her church, like a young women's group. And my very best friend, who had similar, different, way more drastic, I think, but similar experiences emotionally of abandonment and lack of respect, etc., etc. Anyway, she was like, fuck them little girls. Ain't nobody teach me shit. Let them learn on their own. Y'all, when I tell you that one 10-second discourse changed everything. We had been friends for like 20 years, and I no longer saw her the same way. I was like, you have a daughter. You have a daughter. What you mean, fuck them little girls? She gonna learn? We can't be friends no more. I've lost all respect for you. I respect you as a person, but dog, you cannot be in my space because this is not it. This is not it, sis. If you feel that way, please, please, please find some love for yourself, because you can't love yourself and look at the world and look at your daughter and look at other little people like you and feel that way. That's really a lack of love. I want you to love yourself. I finally love myself. All of me. And you know what happened when I got to that point? I am consistently in a state of inexplicable joy. I just be happy for no reason. You know why? Because happiness is my baseline. Joy is our baseline. But because that was so foreign to me, I'm like, why am I happy? Like, am I crazy? I literally have gone through periods where I'm like, am I losing my mind? Like, am I going insane? Because, like, what are you smiling about? Well, I'm alive. What you mean? Why not smile? I be singing. Be singing again. I be singing again. And I'm not no singer, y'all, but like, my throat chakra is not blocked so much no more. I am at peace. And anything that worries me, it gives me information about deeper parts of me that still need to be healed. And I am still 14 years deep in this. Yeah, it's funny. This guy that I was talking to was like, so how long is this, like, you know, healing growth? How long is this going to last? And I was like, it's a lifetime commitment, my buddy. It doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. Our relationship did. But that's okay, because you're not meant to be here. All right. That's probably been like an hour. That's enough. Sign up for Become Your Own Healer. Get like me. No, I'm just playing, but I'm not, though. Oh, also, I'm really funny. You'll see. Love y'all.